Okay, guys, so as I've explained, for today's lesson, we'll be looking at solve for X and Y. So I just want to quickly do some notes of which you can write down, which will be the notes that we'll be doing. So, Sihle, did you do this chapter already for solving for X and Y simultaneously?
Yes, sir.
And then did you also do solve for X?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then it's fine. You won't be lost. So one thing for sure, I have done this lesson before, so it's just um, to browse through some of the things that we've gone through. So just make sure that by the end of each and every lesson, the both of you guys understand. So we'll be looking at solve for X and Y. So you can just write this as part of your notes. So normally when we solve for X and Y, it means you solve two unknowns. So you solve for two unknowns, of which in this case, the first unknown is X, the second unknown is Y. So that means you must be given two equations. So you will be given two equations. So that means the moment you are given two equations, it means you solve for two unknowns. So the first step that you need to do is to identify, let's say you identify simple equation. So you will understand this notes better when we solve a few questions. So you're going to identify simple equation, and then from there, on your second step, you're going to make, let's say you make one unknown subject of the formula. So the reason why I'm giving you these notes is so that even if I give you a homework, you can be able to just follow these steps. So number 3. So on number 3, obviously after you've made a one unknown the subject of the formula, then you substitute a, let's say, equation number 3 into other equation. And then obviously step number 4, let's say you solve for both unknown. So guys, in case if you were not writing, you can still take a screenshot of all of these notes that I wrote over there. But what matters the most in this case is for you to be able to apply all of these steps. Did you guys write some notes? Can I'm just not sure of how to handle this one.
Yes,
Did
sir.
you guys write some notes? What did you do? Did you take a screenshot, write some notes, or
So I wrote some notes.
what did you do?
I wrote some notes, sir. But
Okay,
even
then
if
it's fine.
I write the notes, I can take a screenshot.
Yeah, you can still take a screenshot in case if you want to listen
It
and
can.
avoid listening and writing at the same time. So these are the equations that I want us to have a look at, not really to solve up to the end. But in this case, what matters the most is for us to be able to apply those notes. So we are just going to go through the first equation number 1. So I'm just going to quickly rewrite all of that. So it's x plus 2y, it's equals to 4. You've got y minus 8x. This is equals to 1. So let's see. According to our notes, if we are solving for x and y simultaneously, obviously the word simultaneously means at the same time. So it means you have to solve for x and y at the same time. So in the end, we must say x is equals to whatever, y is equals to whatever. So according to this notes, it means when you're solving for x and y, you must solve two unknowns. So a question to you guys: what is represented by the unknown on those two equations?
Represented how, sir?
So what is the unknown?
X and
Uh,
Y, sir.
100%. So see here, the unknown is represented by a letter. So always the unknown is represented by letter. So the unknown is x and y. So Shreyas, the reason why you had to say it's x and y is because you remember what we said about an equation. So that same principle applies even here on solving for x and y simultaneously. It's the same principle. Whenever you see an equal sign, it means you've got an equation. When you've got an equation, it means you must solve for the unknown. The unknown is represented by a letter, which could be any letter from A up to Z. So in this case, they chose to use X and Y. So see clear, in each and every problem that you are given, the unknown is always represented by a letter, which could be A, B, C, D, or any letter up to Z. So we already know on that first equation, so we can do that to indicate this is the first equation, and do that to say this is the second equation. So on the first equation, we know 2 is a number, 4 is a number. We know what they present. So they repeating a number. So that means S is equal to a number. Y is to number. What's the simplest type of art equation? So quotes, I see you must be very two for you able to solve what they mean, those two. So for two unknowns and given two equations. Do you understand that part?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Guys, are we still together? So
Yes,
do you
sir.
Yes, sir.
understand these two parts for two unknowns and again given two equations?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's move to number
Yes,
1.
sir.
So number 1 says identify simple equation. So how do you identify a simple equation? So from these two equations, guys, you just need that equation that has a x or that has y, which is not attached to a number. For example, on that first equation, you have x, you also have 2y. So when I say you just want an x, I'm referring to this one. You don't want a letter which is attached to a number, just like over there is 2y. So you don't want that letter which is attached to a bigger number or a number bigger than 1. You just want that letter which has an invisible 1. So if you have those type of unknowns in both equations, then it means both of equations we can say they are simple or easy to work with. For example, there you've got a 1x. Also there you've got a 1y. For example, if you had 2x plus 7, it's equals to, let's say, 3y as equation number 1. And here you had y plus 9x is equals to 70. This is equation number 2. So can you see, when I say you need to look for an equation which is simple, it's either you look for a x or you look for y. So let's see, in the first equation, can you see you don't have that letter which is just x or which has a invisible 1x. You've got 2x over there, you've got 3y over there. So we try to check on the second equation. So you can see you've got invisible 1y, and this is attached to a number. So that means equation number 2 is the simple equation. So guys, do you understand that part that I've just explained in terms of identifying a simple equation?
100%, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I see still the way, but otherwise, if you respond, okay, if you understand, I'll read it again. But it's now moved to number, what is it? I think it's number 2, where you need to make one unknown subject for. So I'm glad that I understood fully that number 1. So now let's look at 2. Make one unknown subject of the formula. So I'm just going to flow my explanation, and then in this question you can just middle of my explanation. So number is, now that you know what is an unknown, same either make x, y the subject of the formula. So what guides you in terms of making the unknown the subject of the formula? You use the simple equation to make the unknown subject of the formula. So that is the reason why you had to first identify the simple equation. So in this case, it means both of these are simple equations. Why? Because you've got 1x over there, you've got 1y over there. So you can decide between these two equations which one you can use to make the unknown the subject of the formula. So let's say we use equation number 1 to make the unknown subject of the formula. So that simply means we are actually deriving equation number 3. So that is what we are doing in short when we make the unknown subject of the formula. So that means you must remain with the unknown on the left side of the equation and move everything to the other side of the equation. So let's use equation number 1 to make the unknown the subject of the formula. So obviously we will use x subject formula and not type this 2 or there, which could be 3 or any number. So that means we x is the right side of you move everything time. So that means what I need to remember as the sign, because I know the sign is that visible over there. So when you move the other side, it's a sign. That's how you derive it. Now, for example, derive that and make the, so that you're going to say it's equals to on switch. Right? Everything positive, what is it? Positive x number to remove all right equation but 3 derived from equation number 1 means x is equal to 4 minus 2. Okay, so now what else do we do? We need to substitute equation number 3 into substitute into equation number 2. So you cannot use equation number 3 and substitute it into that same equation that you used to derive equation number 3. It's going to take you back to that same equation. So if you use equation number 2 to derive equation number 3, then substitute equation number 3 into the other equation, which is the equation that you did not touch at this stage. So now let's see. What do? We substitute equation 3 into the other equation. Let's substitute. So it means wherever you see x in the other equation, you substitute all of that. So we've got y minus 8 into, because this is where we see x, it's equals to 1. So what is x? X is 4 minus 2y. Okay, so now that you substituted, what is our next step? You solve for both unknowns. So that means after substitution, you need to solve for x and y. So when you solve, obviously, this is what I've been teaching you guys since the beginning of this lesson. I'm just going to do this example. Then on the next examples, you will take it further. So that means we obviously have 1y. You're going to multiply that by that by that. The main purpose is to remove the bracket. So that means you've got that by that. What is that? Is it 16 times 16 is 30, times 2 is 32. 8 times 4 is equals to 32. So that means you've got 32 and that by that. Remember, it's a minus times a minus. It becomes a positive. Then it's 8 times 2, which is what? It's 16. Obviously, that y over there. Then this is equals to 1. So remember, the main important thing is for you to solve for y. As soon as you're done with solving for y, you are then going to solve for x. So let's now proceed. So the reason why you had to derive equation number 3 is because you wanted to substitute it into the other equation so that you have just one unknown, of which in this case is y, which means when you proceed to solve, you are forced to solve for y. Okay, very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So now let's see. This is what you've done. You need to work out the like term. So you've got y plus 16y, obviously it's 17y. This can be equated to, you move a number to the other side. Remember, I've always been saying when you solve, you always want to have letters on the left and numbers on the right. So that is the reason why I'm saying on the left, you write everything that is attached to y, and then you move everything to the other side. So that means obviously you're going to have 1 plus 32, which is going to be 33. Remember, it's a plus because of it changes that sign. So now that you've moved everything to the right, but you want to remain with just y, so you are forced to divide by 17. Whatever you do on the left, you do on the right. Why did you have to divide by 17? Is because you wanted all of that to cancel so that you remain with y, which is equals to 33 over 17. So remember, guys, we are solving for x and y. So now we managed to find the value of y. So how do we get the value of x? So that means you substitute all of this into equation number 3. Why equation number 3? Because already we made x the subject of the formula. So that means x, it's going to be equals to you've got 4 minus 2. Wherever you see y, you substitute 33 over 17. Then you can punch all of that on a calculator. It's 4 minus 2 into 33 divided by 17, and the whole of that is equals to 2 over 17. So this is how you solve for your x value and again for your y value. Any questions, guys?
Sir,
Mm-hmm.
while you were explaining, I did this, and when I punched it in my calculator, it gave me a decimal number, which is 1,94. I left it in 2 decimal places.
So which one is it, for the value of x or for the value of y?
For the value of y.
So when it comes to solving for x and y, you don't round off. I mean, you don't write it to decimal, just write it in a form of a fraction. So if you say you got 1.941 and you rounded it off to 2 decimal places, it is the correct number, but don't write it in a form of a decimal, but write it in a fraction form. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Shreyas, have you got any questions?
No, sir.
Did you understand everything?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So now let's try to move to the next problem, which is, I'll just copy it over there. So the next problem is 3x minus 3y. This is equals to 9. And then we've got x plus 2y, which is equals to 4. So this is obviously equation number 1. This is equation number 2. So I'm going to apply all those that I just explained not so long ago. So I said you need to identify a simple equation. So according to me, equation number 2 is the simple equation because that's where I've got that x which is not attached to a number, which means I can use equation number 2 to derive equation number 3. So remember, guys, you need to have a letter which is equals to, you move everything to the other side. So it changes a sign. It was a positive and it's now minus 2y. So you substitute equation 3 into the other equation. What is the other equation? In this case, the other equation is equation number 1. Why? Because you used equation number 2 to derive equation number 3. So that becomes the other equation. So let's see how it looks like when we substitute. It means we've got a 3. Wherever I see x, I'm going to substitute all of this. Minus 3y. Everything else remains as it is, which means you're going to have 4 minus 2y. Therefore, you now solve for x and y. This is where you do that by that, you work out the like terms, then you solve for y and use the y value to substitute into equation number 3 and solve for the value of x. Guys, did you understand all of that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
No question.
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. If that is the case, then I'm giving you this to work on, and again, I'm giving you this as your homework. So this also forms part of your homework. That one we have done, and you said you fully understand. It's the same approach, same everything. So guys, I think for today's lesson we'll end it there. Based on how you solve for question number 2 and 3, it will indicate if we need to do more of this type of problems, so otherwise we can move to another chapter. But just make sure to play our previous lessons so that you catch up. In case if you don't understand something, you can still use our old lessons to catch up. So guys, this should bring us to the end of our lesson for today. I'm not sure if you've got some questions before I end the lesson.
Sir, I was about to ask about the problem I told you about. The problem I told you that I'm struggling in Euclidean geometry, and at school we haven't learned it, and we were supposed to learn it term 1.
Which one is it again?
So I didn't hear you properly.
I was asking which problem is it?
The Euclidean geometry.
Oh, you mean Euclidean geometry, ne?
Yes, sir.
Oh yes. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I responded to you or if it was Shreyas. You just remind me, Shreyas, if you are the one who asked me about Euclidean geometry. So on that one, I said I will need to prepare for that chapter because it was introduced after I've done a metric. So I haven't really done that chapter. So that means even on my lessons, we won't be touching that chapter anytime soon. It could be maybe in preparation for your final exams because I'll still need to prepare firstly for that chapter. So that means when we get to that chapter, we'll only have to skip it and move it to the other chapter. So whenever I get a chance, that's when I'll have to firstly study the chapter, understand it, learn some tricks, and then from there, make sure that when I do a lesson, I've got an idea of how the questions are asked, tricks associated with the questions, and also the tips. So I'm just not sure if I've responded to you, Shreyas. Otherwise, it was the other learner. So that's it about Euclidean geometry, guys.
So it was me. You told me that yeah, it was introduced after you've done your metric. Oh, it's okay.
Okay, no, then it's fine, because I just remember I've explained to someone. It's just that I wasn't sure who I explained it to. So otherwise, guys, this brings us to the end of our lesson for today. So remember to sort out that homework. Whenever you get a chance, just work on it and send. You can send via inbox. So otherwise, you can still send in the group. If you're confident, send in the group. If you're not confident, send it via inbox. Whichever way, it's fine. So guys, have a good night, and I'll see you on tomorrow's lesson.
Thank you,
Yes, sir.
sir.
You too. Bye, sir.